You are what you eat. I used to think this was just a saying until I started paying attention to the extent to which food affects everything in our lives. Our energy, our focus, our mood, and our hormones. Ladies, this one's for you. Over the past 6 months, I have made just 4 changes to the way I eat. Not a new diet, definitely not cutting out everything I love, just smarter habits. So if you're caught in the cycle of feeling off and not knowing why, one of these might be exactly what you need. I hope you enjoy. All right, the first habit is how we start the day, with breakfast. And one change I've made over the last 6 months is starting the day with a savory breakfast. And previously, for about 2 years, I started every single day with buckwheat blueberry protein pancakes. And they were definitely delicious, especially because I topped them with a creamy peanut butter spread. But I think because there were bananas and blueberries and peanut butter in it, it was quite sweet, and that sweetness spiked my blood sugar and then made me crash and left me craving sweet things later on in the day. Now I opt for a savory, protein-rich breakfast, and it just sets my whole day up for success. So making this into an actionable tip for you, I recommend that you start your day or break your fast with between 20 to 25 grams of protein. Morning can be a hectic time. Between getting things ready and firing up all systems to go for the day, breakfast can sometimes take a back seat. But what we put in our body first thing sets the tone for the rest of the day ahead. So if you prefer to avoid morning brain fog and instead stay sharp and full of energy, I recommend you pack your plate with protein, fiber, and healthy fat. Extra gold star if you can prep something the night before. Your sleeping morning self will thank you. I've linked some pages down below with simple and healthy breakfast options. If you want the TLDR, here are 3 of my go-tos. First is a high-protein yogurt like skyr, topped with berries, slivered almonds, and cinnamon. Second is ready-made egg cups. Just make the filling for your preferred omelet, including eggs, peppers, spinach, whatever, and bake them in muffin tins until the eggs are set. You can reheat them in the morning in the oven or microwave. And lastly, overnight oats made with protein powder, cacao, and blueberries. Bon appetit! And I think you may find, as I have, and as many of my clients can attest, that starting their day in this way improves their mood, their focus, it helps curb cravings, and fuels your muscles, just all good things, all positive knock-on effects. Healthy food habit number 2 is that I stopped intermittent fasting. And if you've been on the internet for any length of time, you'll know that about 5 years ago, intermittent fasting was all the rage. And as an impressionable person, I completely, wholeheartedly jumped on the bandwagon and really, really got into it. And I want to go back and give that version of myself a big hug, because at the time I saw it as a way of practicing discipline, and just there was a large amount of mental clarity that came from fasting. But I know now, based on lots of research and books that I have read since, that intermittent fasting may be great for men, but it does a huge disservice to the female physiology. Women do not lose fat the same way as men, and we have very complex hormonal systems, and fasting puts our body in a huge state of stress. If you're a woman watching who practices intermittent fasting with the goal of losing weight or fat, I'd like you to consider a few things so that you can continue on a safe path. First, a bit of science around the metabolism. The metabolism, sometimes referred to as the metabolic equation, is a series of processes that take place within the body, touching everything from the digestion of your food to the energy expended during exercise, and even to the amount of calories burned at rest. The last point, amount of calories burned at rest, is known as your BMR, basal metabolic rate. The BMR makes up the largest portion of the metabolic equation at roughly 70% and is tied to the energy your body consumes just to survive. The body requires energy to think, breathe, thermoregulate, blink, sneeze, and circulate blood. Even if you fast for an entire day, the processes running in the background to keep you alive would continue to burn calories. And you can influence the amount of calories burned at rest through the kind of training you do. When you engage in weightlifting or resistance training in general, you build muscle and strength. Muscle is metabolically active tissue, meaning it's costly for the body to maintain. It requires calories just to have around. So by adding more muscle mass to your frame, you're increasing the amount of calories burned at rest. Additionally, within the metabolic equation, there's something called the thermic effect of food, which is the amount of calories burned to digest a particular food. And of the 3 macronutrients, which do you think has the highest thermic effect of food? If you guessed protein, you win a gold star. This means the more protein you consume, the more calories are burned in an attempt to break it down and assimilate it into the body. So in your eating windows, it would be smart to eat ample protein and train with resistance in order to give the body the signal to hang on to that precious lean mass. Lastly is the duration of the fast itself. If you're a woman following the protocols I've just laid out regarding protein consumption and resistance training, you may be able to fast safely. Research shows that women can practice a fasting schedule of 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and still reap the benefits. That means a feeding window of 12 hours, followed by a 12-hour fasting window. Longer fasting windows, i.e. more than 20 hours, are not generally recommended for women as they can be linked to muscle breakdown and adverse hormonal effects. So flipping this trend on its head, I said, no mas, I will be eating now, thank you very much. Especially because I have a very active job. I'm a personal trainer and group fitness coach, and restricting calories is just a horrible idea for someone who moves all day, but I think that this tip can be applied to the masses as well. That shifting the focus, instead of one that is on restricting food or the eating window, to one of I see food as fuel, as the material that will become my body and that will fuel the activities that I enjoy and fuel the job that I love. So now I eat to perform my best, and I eat breakfast every single day, lunch and dinner. Yay me! And things are just much better. And to really drive this point home, I like to use the analogy of a sports car. That if you see your body as a high-end luxury Ferrari, for example, Ferraris don't just take any kind of fuel, and they definitely don't drive well on an empty tank. So I encourage you to look at your body as a very expensive sports car and fuel it not only at regular intervals, but also giving it the best kind of nutrients, the best fuel you can provide, you can afford. Habit number 3 takes us into the kitchen. Food prep for the win. Once you can start looking at food as the material that will literally become your body, your bones, your joints, your muscles, and the fuel for your brain, I think that you'll want to start giving it high quality ingredients. That was at least the big shift that got me into the kitchen to start prioritizing food prep, and has been a total game changer the past few months. And this may seem a little bit daunting if you're new to cooking, but one thing that I have found has really helped me the last few months is carving out a slice of time each week, for me, it's Sunday afternoon, to prep ingredients for the week ahead. This will save you time, money, and most importantly, brain power around what you're going to eat for the week ahead. My freezer and I have grown very close over the last few months because I have been making a double or triple batch of food of whatever it is that I'm making. I keep about a third of it fresh for the fridge to use throughout the week. Normally lasts about 2 days because I have a hungry husband. And then I save the other 2/3 in the freezer for emergency days, which for the last few weeks has proven to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, because I come home really late from work, as I'm sure many of you can relate, and I can't be bothered to think about what I'm gonna make. So instead, I just go shopping in my own freezer, I preheat the oven, and boom, in about 30 minutes, I have something I know is going to taste delicious because I made it. And it's also going to be with high quality ingredients. I will link to a few of my favorite creators, both here on YouTube and their websites with their blog posts that have so many delicious freezer-friendly recipes that have really saved me the last few weeks. Also, in the description box below, you'll find my Amazon store with a few of my curated lists for kitchen essentials. And I'm assuming most of you already have a freezer, so I didn't put that on the list of essentials, even though it's a huge player in our food prep game. But things like the crock pot and silicone storage containers have completely revolutionized my food prep. You can check out those links down below. Thank you for your support. And healthy habit number 4, concluding our list for today, is around supplements. And I have saved this tip for last on purpose, because supplements are exactly that. They are not meant to take the place of a whole foods diet. With that being said, I am glad to have things like protein powder, creatine powder, and collagen powder in my arsenal. Protein powder specifically has been a huge lifesaver because I'm a busy gal, you know? I got places to go, people to do, and I don't always plan super well. So as much as I would like to have a home-cooked protein-rich meal every single time, sometimes it's just more handy to have a quick shake with me on the go, especially for after workouts. And a little pro tip out there for my ladies watching is that I recommend you give extra consideration to protein consumption in the week leading up to your period. because it's during this luteal phase, the high hormone phase of your cycle, that there's a spike in the hormone progesterone, which unfortunately is catabolic, meaning it breaks down muscle. So we can combat this and preserve our precious lean body mass by adding a little bit more protein into our meals in the 5 or 6 days before we menstruate. This is another place protein powders shine. It's a quick and reliable source of protein that you can take with you wherever you go. The other 2 supplements that I mentioned, creatine and collagen, are just nice to have. As I mentioned a bit earlier in the video, what we consume first thing in the morning sets the tone for the day ahead. And I don't know about you, but I want my day's tone to scream hydrated and alert. That's why I like to pour as much liquid down my gullet as my stomach will hold as soon as I wake up. The first cocktail is tepid water with collagen powder and creatine powder. Appetizing, I know. The collagen powder serves my skin, hair, and nails, as well as my joints. I supplement with creatine powder as it's been linked to better performance in high-intensity exercise and heavy lifting. It's also been shown to have positive effects on mood and cognition. I'll link to a few papers down below on the benefits of supplementing with creatine and collagen powder if you'd like to dive deeper. Once this warm potion of goodness is rolling around in my belly, I follow with breakfast. Lately, it's been bone broth with poached eggs and a side of toast. And because I like to live life on the edge, after downing my supplement cocktail and having soup for breakfast, I top it all off with a big-ass coffee. At this point, I'm energized, hydrated, and ready to pee every 5 minutes for the next 3 hours. Winning! If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure you click here for more healthy habits you might find helpful. I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll catch you back here in my next video super soon.